Today's episode of the High Volume Hiring Podcast is going to be a little different than most of the others. Today, I'm going to talk about a company that has probably come closer to perfection than any others when it comes to high volume hiring. I'm going to talk, of course, about our friends at Amazon. Amazon has plenty of fans, especially amongst consumers, but it also has some detractors. But no one can deny that their devotion to efficiency from top to bottom has produced a remarkable talent acquisition system. The scale that they operate at is unimaginable for virtually every other employer everywhere in the world. Every day, they need to hire thousands of employees into warehouse positions. These are often part, but sometimes full-time. The work is hard. It's fast-paced. And it isn't glamorous. Oh, and they need to do that in hundreds of warehouses around the world, with those warehouses often being located in suburban or even rural locations where the available labor force can be relatively small given the needs of Amazon and their competition for the same talent. Amazon has invested vast employee, money, and other resources into its recruitment process. Repeatedly, it has found and embraced opportunities to improve its system, rather than resisting those opportunities by arguing that their old ways have always worked well enough in the past. It embraces change, and it isn't afraid to admit that it has made a mistake and immediately set out to learn from and correct those mistakes. Which brings me to the topic of this week's episode. According to a recent article on Vox, Amazon is running out of people to hire in its U.S. warehouses. That's right. According to a document prepared in 2021 for internal use by Amazon, it will run out of people to hire in 2024. The report states, quote, "If we continue business as usual, Amazon will deplete the available labor supply in the U.S. network by 2024. Close quote. The first areas to experience this worker shortage will be the Phoenix, Arizona metro area, and then the Inland Empire region of California, which is located about 60 miles east of the city of Los Angeles. Why is Phoenix particularly bad? Amazon operates more than 20 facilities in the region, and attrition is even worse than in many of their other regions. In 2019, attrition in Phoenix was 128%, meaning that the average worker quit or was fired after only about 5 months. As bad as that sounds, by 2020, the attrition rate went to 205%, so under 3 months. To help stop the bleeding, Amazon has reversed or simply stopped enforcing some of its workforce policies at its Phoenix warehouses. According to former manager Michael Garrigan, Amazon's more lenient HR policies meant it became almost impossible to get fired. When I first heard about this problem, my thought went to automation. But, of course, so did Amazon's. The projection that it will run out of people in 2024 takes into account its ability to raise wages and increase the use of warehouse automation. Instead of employing these evolutionary tactics, Amazon's own staff concluded that it will need to implement revolutionary changes. One of those changes is simply to reduce turnover. Amazon's internal report states that it can buy another 3 years simply by reducing the turnover to 100%. So how will Amazon solve this problem? One way is to massively reduce that turnover. Since the launch of Amazon, it has embraced turnover as a productivity tool because it found that employees were unproductive until trained, productive early in their tenure, and then unproductive again. In the internal report, Amazon recommends that it emulate some of the management practices of Walmart, FedEx, and other competition for the same talent by better fitting skills and interests, making the work itself less physically and mentally demanding, and better aligning shift lengths and schedules to those desired by their workforce. Another way to reduce turnover is to further increase wages. Amazon has long had a reputation of paying its workers more per hour than they could get from most employers. but Amazon's own projections show that for every dollar it increases its wages, it increases the size of its labor pool by 7%. In other words, some might not be willing to work for Amazon for $20 an hour, but 7% more will be at $21 per hour. And if it increases its hourly wages by $1.50 per hour, it'll buy another 3 years. Another strategy would be to increase the apply to hire rate. As of the 2021 date of the report, Amazon needed 6.7 applications to fill a single role. That's about 15%, which is about double what most employers see. But Amazon surely sees opportunity when it is rejecting about 85% of those applying. Getting existing employees to work more hours would also help. The average warehouse employee worked 27 hours a week in 2020. The company can reduce new hires by a whopping 118,000 a year if it increases that to just 30 hours a week. Finally, another strategy that Amazon is looking at is where to locate its warehouses to begin with. Instead of placing them far out in the suburbs or even in rural areas, look for Amazon to start building new warehouses and maybe even moving existing ones to urban locations, better supported by public transportation and with far more people living within walking or biking distance. Thank you for joining us today on the High Volume Hiring Podcast. We appreciate your support. Please go to www.highvolumehiringpodcast.com to subscribe for free on your favorite app. Review it, 5 stars are always nice, and recommend it to a couple of people you know who want to learn more about how best to hire dozens or even hundreds of people. Today's podcast has been a co-production of Evergreen Podcasts and College Recruiter. A special thanks to our producer and engineer, Ian Douglas, and the rest of the team at Evergreen. I'm your host, Stephen Rothberg, the founder of College Recruiter. Each year, we help more than 7 million students and recent graduates find great new part-time, seasonal, internship, apprenticeship, and other entry-level jobs. Our customers are primarily Fortune 1000 companies, government agencies, and other employers who are hiring at scale. They advertise their jobs that require 0 to 3 years of experience on our niche global job search site. For more information, go to www.collegerecruiter.com/advertising or email me, steven@collegerecruiter.com. Cheers.
Hi there, I'm Heather Drago.
And I'm Sarah Saunders.
We host the podcast, That's a Hard No, about saying no and setting boundaries.
So you can become that true and empowered you that this world needs. Saying no isn't just okay.
It's the key to living an authentic, fulfilling life.
I'm a licensed professional clinical counselor, so while this podcast is in no way a replacement for one-on-one therapy, I suppose I know what I'm talking about.
I'd say so. We talk about learning to say no and set healthy boundaries and how it impacts mental health, physical health, relationships, parenthood, and more.
Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and visit our website, hardnopodcast.com.
We're here to help you find your no and say it unapologetically.
That's a hard no.